Welcome to Training Tuesday, offered by the Chief Procurement Office for General Services. We're so happy to have all of you here today. Today, we are going to go through our updates and reminders. We're going to go through the Joint CPO Notice Request for Cure, the CPO Notice 2025.05, where you can find some additional training and our Tuesday takeaway. Our updates and reminders. CPO Notice 2023.10 provides notice of the Local Food, Farms, and Jobs Act, which establishes the goal that 20% of all food and food products purchased by state agencies and state-owned facilities shall be local farm or food products. Local farm or food products are defined as products grown in Illinois or processed and packaged in Illinois using at least one ingredient grown in Illinois. Section 10E of the Local Food, Farms, and Jobs Act requires state agencies that purchase food or food products to publish on bid by January 1st each year. Please review the notice for further detail. This is going to be the last time that we give you that reminder, so make sure that if you are one of those state agencies that purchase food or food products, that notice was supposed to be done by January 1st. So we are past that deadline now. CPO Notice 2025.04, the State of Illinois Diversity and Inclusion in Procurement Training, was recently issued. The training is open now and must be completed by January 31st, 2025. This training contains 61 slides and will take about an hour to complete. Please reference CPO Notice 2025.04 for additional information on how to access this training on OneNet. If you have questions about this notice, please direct them to your SPO. Joint CPO Notice Request for Cure. This notice was issued on December 16th and became effective January 1st, 2025. The Procurement Code, Section 50-57, has added that a CPO may cure a violation or deficiency in a procurement when she or he determines it is in the best interest of the state. If an agency needs to request a cure per Section 50-57, the agencies and SPO shall submit a completed request for cure form issued with this notice. When requesting approval from the CPO to cure a violation or deficiency of statute, rule, regulation, CPO notice, or practice promulgated by the CPO. Ensuring that procurements are conducted lawfully, competitively, transparently, and fairly is the goal of every agency, university, and the statutory responsibility of SPOs and CPOs. As few procurements fall short of these standards and even fewer will justify this cure, the CPO anticipate that these requests and authorizations will be minimal in number. If the violation or deficiency is discovered after the agency or university executes the contract, then the cure provided by 50-57 is no longer available, and the contract is void unless ratified pursuant to Section 50-60 of the Procurement Code. The agency and SPO should discuss and determine if a cure by the CPO is necessary to resolve the harm caused by the violation or deficiency. In other words, without the CPO's cure, the solicitation may be canceled or a potential subcontract or contractor must be determined non-responsible or not responsible. The agency and SPO shall consider whether the violation or deficiency is curable without the CPO's intervention, or whether the situation can be resolved through an amendment or an addendum. During the discussion, the agency and SPO should review whether a cure by the CPO is even appropriate to resolve the harm caused by the violation or deficiency. Evaluate how stakeholder, perhaps the vendor, the agency, the taxpayer, a vendor that did not participate may be harmed if the cure is authorized or not authorized. Harm could include lost time, lost revenue, inflated costs, legal disputes, or receiving the wrong item, among other things. If the agency and SPO determine through discussions that a request for cure is appropriate and necessary, the agency will need to complete the request for cure form. Section 1 collects general information about the procurement along with when the agency notified the SPO of the violation or deficiency and clearly describes the violation or deficiency. In Section 2, the agency must provide a detailed explanation justifying that the benefit of curing the violation or deficiency outweighs the identified harm to stakeholders. In Section 3, include a time frame to complete each action. The time frame may be the number of calendar days to complete each action or the date when the action will be completed. If the CPO authorizes a cure, then the authorization may be contingent upon an agreed-upon timeframe. Section 4 requires the agency head and the SPO to sign an attestation. A designee will not be permitted to sign for the agency head. After the SPO has signed the attestation, the SPO will provide the signed request to the CPO for determination. The CPO will complete Section 5 and 6 and return the request. Overall, remember that the steps in discussing this with your SPO as soon as possible and prior to even submitting the form. The SPO and agency will need to make sure that the code, rules, or general processes do not allow for other cure possibilities first. Additionally, the approval from the CPO is being completed under the Illinois Procurement Code 30 ILCS 500, and cures will only be contemplated as they pertain to this code. The CPO cannot authorize cures for other codes, such as BEP. All right, now let's dive into CPO Notice 2025.05, which was issued yesterday. It was issued again yesterday, January 6, 2025, and went into effect on the same day. House Bill 5511 was a procurement omnibus bill that was signed by Governor Pritzker on August 9, 2024, with many changes going into effect January 1, 2025. This bill provided a new amendment to the Governmental Joint Purchasing Act 30 ILCS 525, Section 2A-15. This amendment provides that the Chief Procurement Office may authorize any state governmental unit to purchase or lease supplies under a contract procured by a state agency. Governmental unit is defined by Section 1 of the GJPA and includes local units of government in Illinois, like cities, counties, and municipalities and state agencies. CPO Notice 2025.05 provides greater detail on how this process will work. We are going to dive into that now. Each state agency head will need to review the Agency Consultation for Supplies Contracts form. The agency head will need to identify their state agency and then make a selection for state agencies and state governmental units. The selection options are: allow all qualifying contracts to be used by another state agency, not allow any supply contract to be used by another state agency, require consultation each time another state agency or state governmental unit, depending on which section they're looking at that time, request to use a qualified supply contract. When a blanket approval or denial is provided, the SPO shall notify the agency when a request to use the agency supply contract is received. After making the agency's preferred selection, the agency head must sign the form. The completed and signed form should be submitted back to your SPO by January 31st, 2025. The agency head can make changes at any time to their selection by providing notice to the agency's assigned SPO. The agency wanting to use another agency's contract is known as the requesting agency. The requesting agency must submit the CPO approval for supply contract piggyback form to the SPO. Then it will route for approvals through UP and the CPO. The agency contract must be active. The CPO Notice 2025.05 defines active contract as the termination date of the contract has not passed and has not been fully performed. The CPO will not authorize a procurement of supplies from an expired contract as it is no longer active. The request is for supplies and does not include services. Supplies have the meaning set forth in Section 1-15.110 of the Procurement Code. Services have the meaning of Section 1-15.90. On the screen, you will see that supplies not services is hyperlinked. It will take you to that portion of the code or to the rules. The contract award shall be published in BidBuy. The new job aid will be available in the UP job aid section of our website in the near future, hopefully today even. Technology was working against me in getting it published yesterday. After receiving CPO approval piggyback, the requesting agency will be required to publish a notice of award and then enter into their own contract with the vendor. Please note that the agency must gain SPO approval to execute prior to entering into the contract per Section 10-10 of the Illinois Procurement Code. In order to gain approval to execute, the requesting agency must have their own contract with the vendor. The requesting agency's contract termination date shall not exceed the termination date or complete performance of the other agency's contract. The requesting agency's contract shall include current and vetted financial disclosures and standard Illinois certifications. Reporting pursuant to Section 2A-15 of the GJPA, the requesting agency shall report to the CPO the dollar value of supplies purchased from the contract each year. By August 1st, the requesting agency shall report the dollar value of their purchase made from July 1st of the preceding year through June 30th of the reporting year. Reporting may occur anytime prior to August 1st. We will provide greater detail and aids to complete this reporting requirement closer to the first reporting window. So, how could this benefit you at your agency? Let's listen in on these two buyers' conversation voiced by two of my kids on their snow day.
I'm so happy to have you here for a minute. I'm trying to get a new procurement done, and of course it needs to be done yesterday. We have to provide snow boots of varying sizes to help to each of our facilities so that residents can still go outside in case of emergency in the winter. I also need to procure new mowers for a few of our sites before the weather warms up and grass starts to needing to be mowed. By the way, how are things going at your agency?
Things are on track for the start of the year, but it's going to pick up since I need to start my renewals for fiscal year end. It's funny that you bring those procurements up because I just did procurements for both of these within the past year too. Maybe you could piggyback off of them.
That would save me so much time.
I know, right?
I assume those are two separate contracts. Are they still active?
They are. They both expire on June 30th of this year. We haven't received our full order on either yet.
I'm going to have to look into these to see if your contract covers the specifications that we need.
I remember that we did get a brand name only justification for our mowers. Just remember, you'll have to get one of those too if you move forward with that one.
Oh yeah, and the new financial disclosures too. Thanks for the reminder. I don't know what my agency will have the same brand name, only justification, though, so we may need to do our own procurement for those. But you've still helped me with the boots.
If you have any other questions about our contracts, just let me know.
Will do. One last question. Are your redacted contracts published publicly on BidBuy? If not, I'll need to get a copy from you.
We always publish a redacted copy.
That's great. I really appreciate everything. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
And yes, now my kids know what redacted means. So let's recap on their conversation though. One state agency had a need, and another state agency had contracts that could potentially fulfill the need. The requesting buyer should have also confirmed that the state agency with the contract had the ability to offer it as a solution, meaning, did their agency head provide a blanket approval or require consultation each time another state agency requests to use a qualified supply contract? If either of these were selected, then the requesting agency can keep looking into the possibility of using the contract. However, if the agency head did a blanket to not allow any supply contract to be used by another state agency, then the requesting agency would not be permitted to move forward. The state agency that holds the contract confirmed that the contract was still active and had not been fully performed. This is crucial for the requesting agency to be able to move forward with an Illinois supply contract piggyback. The state agency that holds the contract completed a brand name only justification for their original contract. The requesting agency would also need to obtain approval of a brand name only justification in order to move forward. If the requesting agency can't justify brand name for their agency, the requesting agency will need to look into a different procurement method. Lastly, if agencies have the blanket allow or want to discuss, each request has their redacted contracts published on BidBuy. This will assist requesting agencies in being able to review the contracts and determine if they are able to utilize the supplies on them. Let's go through a few more key points of the Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback. This can only be used to purchase supplies. If a contract has supplies and services available, and the supplies can be purchased and utilized without the services listed on the contract, then a requesting agency may be able to obtain approval for an Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback. You will need to obtain current and vetted financial disclosures and standard Illinois certifications. The price that the requesting agency will pay must be at the same rate or negotiated lower. Shipping costs may be negotiable based on reasonable negotiation. For instance, if the originating agency contract was for delivery in Springfield and the contractor is in Springfield, then the delivery cost was likely small. However, if the requesting agency completing the Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback is in Chicago, a reasonableness test for increased delivery costs would be considered. Warranties and models must remain the same for the requesting agency. If the originating agency had the model with all accessories included as one line item, then the requesting agency must move forward as in that line. However, if the originating agency had a line for the base item and then accessory lines were separated out, then the requesting agency would be able to select which accessories were going to be included in the Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback. And of course, there can't be any change in who the contractor is. CPO Notice 2025.05 additionally made available another method to complete purchases of a supply or services available on multiple award contracts. This would currently only apply to the NASPO Value Point Cloud Solutions contracts. This newly introduced process will require the agency to complete the selection from multiple contracts form, which includes detailing the specifications and requirements being sought to fulfill the agency's need. You'll also need to list the contracts not selected and then the selected vendor. The agency will also need to provide the location of the items. This would include the document name and page number to show the item and pricing. The APO will be required to sign the form. After this is completed, the agency will attach the completed and signed form to the rec and bid buy prior to routing for approvals. We do have a new job aid that was released yesterday for the release off master, and you can find that again currently on our website in job aids, and it's our just normal release off master. It's also published in the up job aids, but you can find it also just in our general job aids. And it just has that one prompt in the rec attachments that say, if this is applicable, if this is what you're going for, you're going to need this form attached. All right, thanks again for joining us today. If there were any questions in the chat, I will collect those and we'll try to get back to you on those. You can also reach out to your SPO with any questions directly related to your agency. Again, we have some bid buy training coming up, which includes our monthly training in our practice session. And as we discussed earlier, you need to complete your diversity and inclusion in procurement training. Our CPOGS Training Academy offers our introduction to Illinois procurement, our procurement methods, small purchase, and specifications. You will need to sign up and register to attend any of those courses. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy for our Interesting Illinois.
Good morning, everyone. And our Interesting Illinois for today is Buckminster Fuller is best known for his popularization of the geodesic dome. The only dome he ever built and lived in is located in Carbondale, Illinois. The dome was built in one day on April 19, 1960. Today, the home is on the National Register of Historic Places and is open to the public by appointment. Buckminster Fuller is considered by many to be the father of the modern sustainability movement. He favored a systems approach to problem solving and coined the term synergy to capture the principle that when one is engaged in cooperative action, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Here's to hoping we all have a year filled with synergy and cooperation. All right, and our next slide. If you have any questions, please send those over to the CPO gs.training@illinois.gov email account, and we will try to answer those as best we can. Thanks, and have a great day.